Welcome to X.news, and in this demonstration we'll show you how it solves the problem of trying to keep across multiple sources of information on a news story without having to switch between different screens and different systems. As you can see, X.news is constantly monitoring a whole range of different external sources of information, from news agencies to social media, but it can also follow your own internal systems, such as Diga's system here, which contains audio. In essence, X.news lets you do four main things. It lets you find the latest information and content on news stories. It lets you follow the latest updates on those stories by saving them. You can collect together the information that you need, and you can start writing a script or an article in X.news. And finally, you can share story information with colleagues to save time and to work more easily together. So let's say I'm a television journalist. I've come in to start my shift, and my editor has assigned me the Greek story to work on, the story of the European bailout and the Greek economy. So the first thing I'll do is to open up X.news, and I'll organize it in the way I want. So I will probably hide the column with audio because I don't need that. And then I'll search for my story. Now, if I was a specialist journalist, I could choose just to see results relating to my specialist subjects, such as sport or business. But I don't want to do that. I want to search for all results. So I'll type in Greece, and actually I'm being offered some suggestions here based on previous searches. That's quite a good one, so I'll take that. And now we'll see the results come through. And as you can see, there's a range of material here. There are the traditional news agencies, which I can easily preview and read the article for. There's also Twitter accounts, and these are the Twitter accounts, the trusted accounts that my organization has elected to follow. I can also see what's going on the web via RSS feeds, and that's a good way of keeping an eye on the competition. And I can also see the latest stills, and if I want to click through and get that still, it's very easy to do. And of course I can also see the latest video along with the information that came from it, and if I want to, I can play it. And while I'm looking at all this, I don't want to miss other information that might not be part of my search, so I can keep half an eye on the latest column here, which is just ticking through with everything that's coming into X.news. So I've searched for information on my story and I've found it, and now I want to save that search so that I can be updated every time new information comes in. And that's very easy to do. All I need to do is to go up here, press the save icon, and give my story a title, Greece. And when I save it, it will be added to the list of my stories up here, where I'm already following a number of other stories. And when new information comes in on those stories, as you'll see here, a little bubble alerts me to the new information that's coming in, and I can have a look at it if I want. Now, this Greek story is an example of a story which might run for days or even weeks, so I might want to make my saved search as good as it possibly can be. So I can do some things here to improve it. For example, we may not already be following a key Twitter account on this story, so I can add it in. In this case, it's the account of the Greek Prime Minister, Alex Tsipras. And that will now be tracked as a Twitter account just for this story and will be followed as part of the results. And I can also cut down some of the information that I don't want to see as part of this story result to reduce the noise. And I can do the same thing on the web, and I can reduce the feeds I get there. And if I want, I can filter the news agencies as well, so that I don't see less relevant information. Okay, so I've saved my story and I'm now following updates on it, but of course I need to do some work with the information that I'm seeing. And that's where we bring in something called the workspace, this little area down the bottom here. And what I will do as a journalist is to gather the information together that I'm interested in and put it into the workspace. So let's say my job is to work on a story today about the markets. I can have a look through the results I've got here, and I can grab the information which is telling me what's going on the global stock markets. I can have a tweet which tells me about what the European Central Bank chief is saying. and I'll have a quick look to see if there's any sign of any pictures from the markets. Nothing at the moment, perhaps I'll look for that later. And now I can read the content that I've collected together, and this content will stay here. Whatever happens to the search, this content is here to stay. I can even give it a name if I want. And if I wanted, I could start up a second workspace, for example, to collect information together about protests. So I've got my information here, I'm reading it through, and the next thing I'll do is to write some kind of script. So to help me with that, I can grab some text here, and I can bring it into my script area. And again, I can give my script a name. And I can work on multiple scripts if I want to. So obviously I do more work on my script than that in reality, but once I've finished, I need to get it somewhere. And with x.news, you can push your script into a growing range of different systems. So I might just want to email it or print it, but I might want to send it into my newsroom computer system, or my content management system, or even if I had the rights, potentially pass it straight onto Facebook or Twitter. So I've found information on my story, I'm following it, I've gathered some together, I've written a script, but of course I'm not the only person in the newsroom working on the Greek story. And when I go home, someone else will come in, and there's a danger they will just have to repeat all the work I've just done. So I can share my Greek story on x.news very, very easily so that other people can get the benefit of the work I've done. And to do it, all I need to do is to go up here to the Greek story and press the little I icon, and then that will become available for other people to also find and follow. And if I want to, I can even send an email to them, just letting them know the link of the story, and they can click directly on it. So if we now log out and log in as somebody else, then you'll now see that down here the Greek story, my Greek story, is available. And Jim can have a look at it. And if he wants to, he can click this little star icon and it joins his other stories, and he's now following it. And he can also see my workspaces here, the markets and the protests and the material I've gathered and the script I've written. And if he wants to, he can take some of that material, I can put it into his own workspace, and he can even, if he wants to, copy my script off to his own workspace. So that's the end of the demonstration, and I hope you can now see how x.news lets you find all your latest story information, how it lets you follow it by updating you on the story, how you can collect together the information you need to work with, and how you can share story information with your colleagues to save time, to reduce duplication, and to make working together easier.